Hollywood in the 1950s glittered with diamonds, champagne and scandal, and at the very centre stood Marilyn Monroe. To the world, she was the ultimate blonde bombshell, a woman whose smile could sell dreams and whose beauty turned every camera into a worshipper. But behind that smile were whispers, dangerous, intoxicating whispers, that would follow her to her final breath. Affairs with powerful men, secret visits to the White House, and the constant shadow of betrayal turned her life into a stage where the most shocking act was yet to come. When she sang Happy Birthday, Mr. President in 1962, her voice was playful, but the undertones were unmistakable. That night, the rumor mill exploded. Marilyn was no longer just Hollywood's star. She was allegedly entangled with America's most powerful family. And only months later, she would be found dead, alone in Brentwood, a bottle of pills beside her bed. So we must ask, was Marilyn Monroe the victim of her own fragility, or was she a casualty of the scandals she could never escape? Before she became Marilyn Monroe, she was Norma Jean Mortensen, a child born into chaos. Her mother, Gladys, struggled with mental illness, and her father was absent, leaving Norma Jean drifting through foster homes and orphanages. From the very beginning, her life carried the scent of instability, a root that would later blossom into the scandals surrounding her name. At just 16, desperate to escape the system, she married her neighbour, James Dougherty. It was less about love and more about survival. But even in this modest beginning, there was a sense of performance. A girl playing the role of wife long before she understood what love meant. When James went off to war, Norma Jean found herself posing for pin-up photos, her innocent face and hourglass figure catching the attention of photographers. It didn't take long before studio executives transformed her into Marilyn Monroe, erasing the fragile Norma Jean and crafting a persona built for fantasy. Yet, behind the glitter of that reinvention lay the first seed of scandal. A life divided between the girl she once was and the icon the world demanded her to be. By the early 1950s, Marilyn Monroe had become Hollywood's most dazzling creation, and its most scandalous obsession. Films like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and The 7-Year Itch skyrocketed her into stardom, but the attention came with a price. Reporters didn't just cover her movies, they dissected her private life, feeding a public hungry for every rumor. Her image as the dumb blonde was both her ticket to fame and her trap. Critics whispered that she was nothing more than a body wrapped in satin, while producers typecast her into roles that magnified her sexuality. Behind closed doors, Marilyn fought bitterly with studio executives, demanding to be seen as more than a sex symbol. Each conflict leaked to the press, adding fuel to the growing scandal of a starlet who dared to defy Hollywood's system. Even her triumphs were tinged with controversy. Winning a Golden Globe for Some Like It Hot didn't silence the gossip, it only heightened it. For while the world adored her, Marilyn remained at war with the very image that made her famous. Fame for her was not freedom. It was a gilded cage lined with whispers of scandal. If Marilyn Monroe's career was built on spectacle, her love life was built on scandal. 3 marriages marked her journey, each one celebrated in headlines and dissected in gossip columns. Her union with baseball legend Joe DiMaggio was a fairy tale for the press, but behind the scenes it was stormy. His jealousy clashed with her rising fame. Their fights, often public, became fodder for tabloids, casting Marilyn as both victim and provocateur. Her next marriage to playwright Arthur Miller seemed like an escape into intellect, yet it, too, unravelled under the weight of expectation. Miller was accused of exploiting her fame, while Marilyn was portrayed as the unstable star dragging him down. The couple's breakdown was documented like a soap opera, and the world consumed every detail. And then came the rumors that would haunt her legacy. Secret affairs with President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert. The idea of America's sweetheart entangled with the nation's most powerful men blurred the line between Hollywood scandal and political intrigue. Marilyn's private longing for love was constantly transformed into public controversy, leaving her lonelier with each headline that promised romance but delivered betrayal. By the late 1950s, Marilyn Monroe's glittering facade had begun to crack. The very studios that once worshipped her now whispered she was difficult, citing her lateness, her mood swings, her inability to finish scenes. To the tabloids, every stumble became a headline. Rumours of substance abuse swirled, painting her not as a victim of pressure, but as the architect of her own downfall. Marilyn turned increasingly to sleeping pills and alcohol, desperate to silence the demons of insomnia and anxiety. Each doctor visit leaked into gossip magazines, fueling the image of a fragile star unravelling. Scandal followed her to every set, whispers of feuds with co-stars, accusations of mental instability, stories of directors vowing never to work with her again. Her dismissal from Something's Got to Give in 1962 was the climax of this downward spiral. Fired by 20th Century Fox after constant absences, the news spread like wildfire. The press portrayed her as washed up, a once golden icon reduced to tabloid tragedy. Yet behind the lurid headlines was a woman battling a system that profited from her image while condemning her for breaking under its weight. May 19th, 1962. The spotlight dimmed at Madison Square Garden and Marilyn Monroe stepped forward in a glittering skin-tight gown. Before a roaring crowd, she sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" to John F. Kennedy, her voice breathy, sultry, unmistakably intimate. The performance lasted only minutes, but its impact was seismic. Overnight, it became one of the most infamous moments in American pop culture, a scandal wrapped in song. The whispers that followed were deafening. Was this performance confirmation of her rumoured affair with the president? Was Marilyn flaunting a secret too dangerous to speak aloud? Newspapers hinted at betrayal, at backroom politics entangled with Hollywood desire. For many, this was not just entertainment. It was the dangerous crossing of two worlds, cinema and state. Only months later, Marilyn would be dead, and the footage of that night would play like a prophecy. Some called her bold, others reckless, but all agreed on one thing. She had sung her own epitaph. The woman who once embodied fantasy had, in that moment, revealed a truth too scandalous for her era to forgive or forget. Marilyn Monroe's death on August 4th, 1962, was as shocking as it was suspicious. Officially ruled an overdose of barbiturates, the story never satisfied the public. Too many unanswered questions lingered. The missing phone records, the rushed investigation, the whispers of political cover-ups. Was it suicide, accident, or silencing? Each theory deepened the scandal, turning her passing into one of Hollywood's darkest mysteries. In the decades since, Marilyn's image has only grown larger. Her photographs still sell worldwide, her movies remain classics, and her likeness is plastered across posters, T-shirts, and murals. Yet her legacy is inseparable from the scandals that haunted her. She is remembered not just as the blonde bombshell, but as the woman rumoured to have seduced a president, as the starlet destroyed by fame's cruelty, as the icon whose death remains unresolved. Even today, documentaries, books and films attempt to unravel the enigma of Marilyn Monroe. But perhaps that is her final power. She cannot be fully explained. She endures as both legend and warning, a reminder that in Hollywood, glory and scandal often walk hand in hand. Marilyn Monroe's story forces us to confront an unsettling truth. In the glitter of fame, scandal is never far behind. She was adored, exploited, and ultimately abandoned by the very industry and public that once worshipped her. Each headline about her love affairs, every rumour of instability, every whispered connection to the Kennedys, shaped not just her image, but her destiny. And when she died at 36, the world mourned, but it also consumed her tragedy like entertainment. Her life leaves us with difficult questions. Did we ever truly see Norma Jean, the woman behind the name? Or did we love only Marilyn Monroe, the invention, the scandal, the myth? Even now, her story reminds us how fragile a human soul can be when trapped inside a symbol too heavy to carry. As you reflect on Marilyn's rise and fall, consider what her journey says about fame, power, and desire. Was she a victim or a participant in the spectacle? Perhaps she was both. What do you think? Was Marilyn destroyed by Hollywood or by the secrets she kept? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more stories behind the scandal and the stardust.